Every time a woman is attacked, the same mistake gets made. And I might be talking to you. Or maybe you know people who desperately need to hear this. Either way, don't look away. Because if you care about women, if you want to be better, if you want to be trusted, you need to hear this until the very end. And if you click away, if you shut this off, then you're proving exactly what I am about to say. That too many men are cowards. So let's start with the truth. Victim blaming is not some abstract idea. It's not complicated. It's simple. Victim blaming is when the first question after violence is not about the attacker, but about the woman. What was she wearing? Why was she drinking? Why was she out so late? Why didn't she leave sooner? You know these questions. Maybe you've even asked them yourself. And here's the thing. If you're watching this, maybe you've never harmed a woman in your life, but you still recognize these questions in your own head. They come up fast, like a reflex. And that's not an accident. Because unfortunately, we live in a world where women are not safe and they are forced to think about their choices constantly. So yes, it feels normal to wonder about those choices. But here's the switch. That's exactly how victim blaming works. It's not passive, it's active. It takes the focus off the attacker and puts the burden on her. And unless we flip that switch, unless we see it for what it really is, nothing changes. So why do men keep doing this? Why do those questions pop into your head before anything else? The answer is psychological. First, it's about comfort. If you can convince yourself she put herself at risk, then you don't have to face the scarier truth that violence can happen anywhere, at any time, and by any man. Blaming her feels safer than admitting the world is dangerous and unfair. Second, it's about ego. If victim blaming is true, then you don't have to ask what role you play in the culture that allows violence. It lets you say, "I would never do that," and move on. But moving on is exactly how the system stays alive. Third, it's about control. When you question her choices, you keep the power in your hands. You decide what counts as safe, what counts as reckless, what counts as serious. And the moment you do that, the attacker disappears from the story and she is left carrying the weight. This is the psychology of victim blaming. It's not neutral. It's not innocent. It's a defense mechanism that protects men, not women. Let's be clear. Victim blaming is not harmless. It has consequences. First, it silences women. Imagine how much courage it takes to say the words, "I was assaulted." Sometimes it takes weeks, months, even years to build that strength. And then the first reply she hears is, "Well, what were you wearing?" In that moment, the conversation dies. Her voice is crushed. Second, it protects attackers. Because while you're busy questioning her choices, his choices vanish from the story. She becomes the one on trial. He walks away invisible, defended by your excuses. Third, it fuels the cycle. When women are silenced and men are defended, nothing changes. The violence continues, the fear continues, the silence continues. And this is the part most men miss. Every time you victim blame, you're not protecting anyone. You're giving violence cover. You're making the problem worse. Here is the irony. Most men think victim blaming protects them. They believe that asking questions, shifting the focus, or doubting her story somehow clears their name. But in reality, it does the exact opposite. First, it makes you look fragile. If your ego is so thin that you can't even hear about violence without rushing to defend yourself, what does that say about your strength? You're not showing power. You're proving weakness. Second, it destroys trust. Women notice everything. They notice who listens and who interrupts. They notice who believes and who doubts. And when you choose your pride over their safety, you show them they cannot rely on you. Third, it isolates you. Other men see it too. Defensiveness, excuses, dismissals, these don't make you look like the good guy. They make you look insecure. They cut you off from deeper respect, deeper trust, deeper relationships. So here's the truth. When you victim blame, you don't protect yourself. You expose yourself. So let's put it plainly. Victim blaming doesn't protect women. It doesn't protect men. It protects violence. Every time you ask, what was she wearing? Every time you say, why didn't she leave? Every time you shift the spotlight onto her instead of him, you are part of the system that keeps women unsafe. Saying, not me, is not enough. Because if you are not part of the solution, you are part of the problem. So, here's the question you cannot avoid. When a woman tells her story, do you want to be the man who blames her? Or the man who listens, believes, and acts? Because in the end, women already know assault is never their fault. What they don't know is which men they can trust. And until men prove through action that they are part of the solution, women will have no reason to believe it. So please, start this movement with me. Subscribe to support me on this journey because together we can change the world. Share this with the people around you who still don't understand. Don't stay silent. Because silence protects violence. And speaking up is the first step to ending it.